This one is really good. Who has been one of your mentors in comedy that has helped shape who you are? Actually, I have quite a few. Jon Stewart was one, Stephen Colbert, Mike Birbiglia. But I actually have one that is here today. Please put your hands together for the one, the only Mr. John Mulaney, everybody! John Mulaney, everybody!
Hello, hi.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do I look at you or them?
You can, it's almost like one of those like weird, you know how like it's the presidential debate kind of, where you're like playing.
I've never run for president, but but if I do, I'll remember that.
Okay. Yeah.
But I would look at my opponent the whole time, I feel like, and be like, what? How could you say that about me?
No matter who you were like standing next to?
Yeah, I'd be in profile the whole time and be like, for real?
Cory Booker, why would you say that
That's
about
not
me?
true.
Yeah. So you have an amazing special that's coming out December 24th. John
Yes.
Mulaney and the Sack Lunch Bunch.
Yeah, John Mulaney and the Sack Lunch Bunch. It's a children's musical comedy special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys know what that is, right?
It stars me and 15 kids ages 8 to 13.
Okay.
And it's a general examination of fear and anxiety with songs and sketches for kids and adults.
Okay. Yeah. That was beautiful. All right, so people have asked how I know you. And
They've asked how you know me?
how I know John Mulaney.
Okay.
The John Mulaney.
We're in the same field.
We have the same occupation.
Yeah.
But do you know there was a very critical moment where, like in show business, you get so many sort of like phone a friend. But I was getting ready for the Correspondents' Dinner.
Oh, yes.
And you're
yes.
one of several people that I reached out to.
Yes.
But you're one of the only people I reached out to. Actually, one of two people that I reached out to personally to come down and see the set. So we only had 19 days to get it ready.
Yeah.
And I remember calling you. And you ever get that anxiety when you're like, hey, we don't hang out that much, but I'm asking you to physically be here. So this is a big deal.
Uh-huh.
And then
I have that anxiety with people I know really well.
okay, so I go, okay, I'm asking John to be here. He's got Petunia, he's got a wife. Like, this is a lot. He's got to come down to the cellar and watch.
Thank you for factoring in my dog. I appreciate that.
I have to.
Yes.
And you don't know this, but we were texting back and forth, and you were like, hey, it's like running 10 minutes late, it's running 15 minutes late. Did you ever see the 1991 hit movie Hook, starring Robin Williams?
Absolutely, I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So-
basically the Peter Pan story. Well, they know. Okay.
Yeah. So I kept telling Esty, I'm like, hey, just can you push me a little bit later? Like,
Wait, I was running late?
you were running late, but you were living your life.
No, that's not fair, though.
Yeah, wait, hang on. Let me get to the good part.
No, I feel bad. Okay, get to the good part.
Okay, so I go, he's gonna come. And then it was like out of a movie where like Liz is like, last comic of the night. And I was, is he gonna make it? And then you run out of a rainy night in New York City, you run into the Olive Tree Cafe, and you're wearing like this like trench coat.
Trench coat? Yeah.
You come running in and you kind of like tousled your hair and you're like, I'm so sorry, man, I'm late. And then I literally for a moment, I'm like, Dad came to the baseball game. Remember in the beginning of Hook? He doesn't show up and like, this is his moment,
I threw my cell phone out the window. It was like Hassan needs me.
Yeah, and then I went on to have like a mediocre set because we were still building it.
My favorite thing about that was that I think I had a feeling that after you did it, you were going to do fantastic, which you did. And I was really proud of you, and it was really amazing to watch. But I also knew that people were going to send you alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
I don't drink, you don't drink.
I don't drink, no.
And I don't drink, not because I'm an alcoholic. And so I was like, he's gonna only get alcohol. So I called the front desk and I was like, do you have like a fruit basket?
Yeah.
And they were like, yes. I was like, send it up.
Yes.
Because everyone else is gonna send like a bottle of scotch and be like, good work.
You did it, yeah.
You did it. Now, begin drinking.
And I devoured that fruit basket. There were so many bananas and apples, so thank you for that.
There
I
were
do
bananas
remember
and
it.
apples?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Because
Yeah.
sometimes it's too much melon.
Yeah. Or sometimes they give you a pineapple, but they don't give you anything to deal with it.
You know, I find with the cups that you get in an average New York City, they call them delis, but they're just bodegas with food out exposed. And when you get a cup fruit, it's normally all melon, all cantaloupe, one piece of pineapple, one sliver of strawberry.
And they'll be like a grape.
A grape!
They'll do a grape.
Right at the top, a grape,
Yeah.
to cheat you, to tease you.
Tell us a little bit more about the special, and specifically why you chose to work with kids.
Okay, so I wanted to do a comedy special that wasn't stand-up. Why? I don't know. It's one of my strengths, stand-up, but I decided to deviate from it. And I wanted to do something kind of like I grew up on, which was like Sesame Street and 3-2-1 Contact
Yes.
and Free to Be You and Me. Did you ever see Free to Be You and
No.
Me? It was like an album and then it was a TV special. And did anyone here ever see Free to Be You and Me? Wow. Okay.
No, a couple of people said yes.
A couple of people said yes?
Yes.
Okay. So it was like, it was just like, there was no through line, and it was just songs. A lot of them sung by adults, being like, it's hard to be a dad. And so I wanted...
And this is in the late 80s, early 90s?
This was in the late 70s, and therefore I still got to see it around
Got it.
86. You know?
And they would play it on like PBS or something like that?
Yeah, the way
Got it.
like Three's Company still played when I was a kid, even though it had gone off the air a decade before.
Right.
So I wanted to do something where kids were just kind of like hanging out and like talking with adults, because that's what TV was like when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the dog detectives or whatever that is.
Right.
And I also have never really hung out with 8 to 13-year-olds since I was like 8 to 13. Like, I didn't really want to do anything about my childhood necessarily. I wanted to talk to kids in 2019.
Yeah.
And then I was writing sketches and songs for them that were based on my childhood, and I said, well, you're gonna do whatever you're gonna sing the song I wrote. But it was like any actor. I was like, you'll sing this song, and if you relate to it, you relate to it. And I thought that kids in 2019 would be extremely different than kids in 1989.
Well, who do you think has it harder? Because you hear that take, this generation, they're soft, there's that sort of...
They're soft.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Like the kids from this sort of era. You haven't heard this?
I've
take?
heard, millennials, you mean?
Yeah, millennials and Gen
Oh,
Z,
right, because they
there's
get
some-
like a participation trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, how terrible. As you know, they crown, as you well know, they crown a prom king back in the day, all right? Is there anything lamer than that? Like,
that's true.
a participation trophy is just a nice banner. For some reason, we would declare someone royalty in the middle of like a dry humping convention we were having. We'd go, you, the most popular kid already, are the king. And he'd be like, thank you. That was a soft generation. No, these kids are, I would say, and I'm no sociologist, you know that. But I'd say these kids are remarkably like moral, and they're very considerate of others' feelings without it being like enforced that they should be. It seems internalized. Whereas I felt like when I was a kid, it was something I had to actively remember.
Oh, that you have a conscience? And you're like...
Yeah, just be like, oh, no, don't push, Like, they really had like a sense of like, they really had empathy for each other. And they could really self-soothe, I'd be like, your sketch is cut. And they'd be like, okay, well, if it's better for the show, that's fine,
In real time?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And they had kind of a general, like, they had a general moral compass. And I don't know all of their religious backgrounds, but some of them seem to have kind of like a secular, just moral compass. Whereas when I was a kid, it was like, you'll go to hell if you do that. So I'd be like, well, I'm not going to do that because I'll go to hell.
Yeah.
But I would maybe like to do that. So I'd like to steal and do all these things. But I won't just because of this fire penalty.
Yeah. And they just had that naturally?
They just seem to naturally know that you shouldn't upset people and cause crime.
That's incredible.
Yeah. They were very, very considerate
Did you
of
ever
each
ask
other.
them about the afterlife? You're like, heaven or hell? And were they just like, I've come to terms with not knowing? Like, were they that sort of just stoically...
No, well, it's interesting. One young man towards the end of the special, I interviewed them about their biggest fears. Yes. And those would become like half-hour discussions, just about also anxiety for the future, what they had. And one young man towards the end said, I worry about my friends and family dying. And I said, do you do anything to comfort yourself? And he said, well, I know that even if they're not here, they'll always be with me in my heart. And I was like, Whereas when I was a kid, they were like, Grandpa's up there. You'll see him in 80 years. I'm like, you sure he is? And they're like, yeah, he lives on a cloud now. Put on a suit. We're going to the worst thing you've ever been to.
These are questions from the audience. You mind if I ask you some of these? These were submitted before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they're here
okay,
tonight.
Absolutely.
Maddie, are you here? Maddie's here.
Hi,
Maddie
Maddie.
wrote, John, this July I saw you in New York carrying Petunia like a heavy sack while looking very concerned. Why were you carrying her like that?
You saw that this July?
I a man who had stolen a dog. Like this.
I was like that. Yeah.
Here, and you were looking around a lot. And it was like, oh no, that's definitely his dog. That's the only dog I recognize other than mine.
Yeah, so my dog during the summer in New York City likes to pull me for as many miles as she can. And then she decides that she's tired because she's a bulldog and she can't breathe. So she lays down, she lays down on the ground like a frog, and then I normally pick her up and I go like, come on, let's go. And if you drag a dog on the street, and by the way, you can drag a bulldog for as long as you want, okay? Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
You're allowed to do that? Like you can do?
No, these things are made of stone, and they're like, they know what they're doing, and she knows. So I'll just be like, "Come on!" And people are like, "Are you John Mulaney? You a monster!" So she probably pulled me. For a while, she was taking me towards like those weird art galleries in Chelsea, like near the river. And I was like, Petunia, come on.
You're going 11th Avenue. You're going.
Yeah, because
don't
I'd
do
go,
that.
hey, let's cut west today, and I'll throw off the scent of what she likes, and she'd go, this is a nice area. She'd pull me for hours. So I'd pick her up and carry her rather than drag her, because when I drag her, which by the way is fine, people would be like, why are you hurting Petunia? And I'd be like, she's hurting me. So then I carry her, right?
Yes.
So now how do you carry her? Okay, she's hot, right? July in New York, okay? So if I put her over my shoulder, she's then just breathing into my ear like, Some nights on the street, some nights on the quiet streets in like the East Village, we'll be walking and it'll be really, it'll be like a quiet night, and we'll be walking behind someone for a little while, and gradually Petunia will just gain on them and be like, and you see these people slowly be like, is there a monster behind me?
Do they do the check?
Yeah,
They
then they turn around and they laugh.
Oh boy.
Because it's a piglet gargoyle.
This is from Isha. Is Isha here? E-A-S-H-A?
Oh, hi Isha.
How do I
are
pronounce
you?
that? Is it Isha? But you hit it with the A after the E.
Yeah, the A is like that.
Oh, that's wild. Okay. This is from Isha. What is the worst Christmas present you've gotten?
Oh, okay. My grandmother, who's alive, I don't know why, that's not the only thing about her. A wonderful woman, lived a full life. Anyway, she's alive. Anyway.
Okay.
So she gave us all socks one year, and that was, they were not like nice socks. They were like, when you just get like black socks for like a...
Oh, the CVS socks. Kinda like those?
Yeah. The way like when like you get a suit for a costume and they staple the socks to it and you're like, all
I know
right.
what you're talking about, yeah.
So we were like, this is weird. We were like, this is
Black
weird.
dress socks. We're talking about the gold toe on the heel?
Yeah, just like, right next to the like reading glasses, you get a Dwayne Reed. Like just socks. And we were all
exactly
looking at
what
them
you're
like, this is so weird. And maybe, I hope she's okay, Right. And then we all kind of, I don't know, threw them away or something. And then
Not that day. You didn't do it that day. You said,
actually,
"Thank
we
you."
did probably in the paper, in the huge paper.
What?
They were socks.
Oh my God.
She lives in Boston. We're in Chicago. She's never. If worst case scenario, we'd run out and get identical ones.
Right.
And then she called up later that day and said, "Merry Christmas," and as you do. And we said, "Merry Christmas." She said, "Did you find the money in the socks?" And we were like, "What's wrong with you?"
Were you like, how much?
Yeah, we were like, yeah, then we had to be like, yes,
Yeah.
and then had to temper like, how much was it, and how much should we be thanking her? We're like, yes, we found it. It was generous, but that was not the worst gift. But I think the duplicitousness of it, if I may make up a word, was what stands out in my memory.
Got it. Did you ever find out how much it was?
It was $20.
Really? All right, this game is going to be really fun. We've never done this on Deep Cuts. This game is called Truth or Text. So basically, I'm going to ask you a question. It's a tough one.
Okay.
And based on this, you can either choose to answer the question, or you can avoid answering if you let me text anyone in your phone anything I want. So,
Wait.
does that premise make sense?
No, that's a really good game. Wait,
Yeah.
that's a really good game.
It's truth or dare.
I'm trying to
but
think
yeah.
what the question would be that would make me rather.
That would force your hand.
I would rather go text anyone in my phone anything you want.
Okay.
But surely you've thought of some. Okay.
All right. You're on a sinking ship with Lorne Michaels.
Okay, you can text.
And you're for real? Okay.
So you for real, what do? You
Unlock the
serious?
passcode, and I will legitimately text.
Unlock the passcode. My face will do it. Okay.
All right, you do that.
Yes.
Then I get to text anybody on the phone.
Do you go through other things on the phone?
No.
Okay.
I'll do contacts first. I'm not gonna look through
Okay.
text messages. Okay. All right, here we go.
And all right. You know.
Yeah, I know.
Right? You know, like if
I know.
anything weird happens, don't do it.
Yeah.
You're enough of a good guy, right? Okay.
Okay, here we go. You got some good ones, man.
Who are you interested in? Oh, Hannibal B.
I'm not gonna do Hannibal. No.
I like that it's still saved as Hannibal B.
Yeah. Hannibal B, Chicago comic. That's weird.
What are you in this? You're only in the C?
I'm only in the C's. I gotta. Here we go. We're gonna go with the big one.
Ooh.
Can I? I picked Dad
Okay. No. It's
because I wanted high stakes.
No, yeah, you're a good man, so.
Okay, no.
No,
I feel
you know
bad.
what? Okay.
I feel bad.
No, don't. You know, I'm just thinking through the amount of work, the amount of follow through I'll have to do.
Yeah.
You've met my dad too.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Yes, you have. Yeah.
Well, we got to D, and from A to D, I was like, this is really good.
Okay.
Pete Davidson has 6 numbers, by the way. That's insane.
And none of them are the current one.
Okay.
Oh, you're gonna see. Oh, you'll see
get
the
to
last
text him.
message from him. Okay, all right.
Send message.
As if it would be scandalous. It's from my dad. Like,
All right.
what?
Okay. Do you have a minute
Oh my God.
to talk about the anti-vax movement? I've just learned a lot about it, and it seems like something you'd be into.
Now you recall that your sister works at his law firm.
Correct.
Okay.
Not anymore. She left.
Oh. I wonder if. No. What? No, I was just gonna think for a second. What if he was like, I haven't told anyone, but I am anti-vax.
Sean,
Yeah.
can I just say this to you as a friend? Like,
What?
Totally, like, jokes aside.
What?
You gotta text your dad back.
Why?
He's shooting. He
Oh.
put up 3. He put up,
Okay. Yeah.
he
All
put up
right.
4 jumpers.
Oh yeah. I greatly enjoyed the Conan
Pass him the
interview.
ball back.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I should have texted him.
I mean, this is gonna force his hand.
Now I have to. Okay. Do I have to wait to tell him what happened?
This is, yes.
Okay. Great.
Yes.
Great.
So your special is a variety show that involves music, children, comedy, everything.
Yeah.
And it's called John Mulaney and the Sack Lunch Bunch.
Yes.
I actually did a crossover video with a bunch of Desi teens.
Yes.
It was Hassan Minhaj and the Tupperware teens. It's basically just brown children who grew up taking Tupperware to school for lunch. And then we just talked about like the pain and angst that they had to deal with.
Yeah.
And they're here with us tonight. Everyone put your hands
Hello.
together. Guys, come on up on stage. Yeah. Guys, this is John Mulaney, you guys.
Hi. How are you?
We're good.
Good. Nice. Oh, thank you very much.
So these guys had a bunch of questions for you.
Okay.
And they wrote them down. They'd like to ask you some
Yeah,
questions.
yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
so Abir, why don't you
Hi,
ask?
Abir.
Yeah.
Hi. My name is Abir Khan. I am 13 and I'm from Yonkers, New York.
All right. Nice. Very nice. Very
Okay.
nice.
First question. At what age did you realize your head was always going to be too big for your body?
Preschool. So I was 4 years old. I have a school photo where it's like just teetering. It's like a tiny Lacoste shirt and a neck, and then this huge head. So I was 4 years old.
So my name is Jenna Ajaduki, and my question is, why do adults always look so unhappy?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Okay. Adults. Okay. And I learned this. Did you go through your wedding photos and notice a lot of people were like,
Yeah, like you mean you're
Like,
talking about
'cause
people in the
older,
Yeah.
not older. I mean, even our age, resting face becomes not as like, it's like. And so now at weddings, because it happens, it just gradually It's like this, the thing where your face is like that. That's gonna go away. So it slackens. Now at weddings, if I think the photographer's in range, the whole time I'll be like. And my wife's like, "You look like a psychopath." And I'll
it's
be
kind of
like,
crazy.
"But the photos will turn out well."
Right.
When you flip through and see all your friends in like squinting in the sun, just like, and they're, I know
Yeah.
they had a good time, but
Yeah.
there's no evidence.
Hi, I'm Teja Vijay Kumar. I'm 17 and I'm from Yonkers, New York. My question was, what's something that adults didn't warn you about getting older?
Oh, like constantly being hotter, like body heat.
Oh yeah.
Just like that
Yeah,
didn't know that would ever be a
temperature, just
thing.
general body temperature.
General body temp fluctuations based on stress.
I'm Suhani Madan. I'm 15.
Are you from Yonkers?
No, I'm from Manhattan.
You're from Manhattan?
New York. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't say it because you didn't want to rub it in. All right,
So my question is, do you know Russell Peters?
I. A small smattering begins. I've met Russell.
Okay.
At the Cellar.
Okay.
But do I know him?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, this is big for the Desi teens.
I know.
Yeah.
But do you know him?
Yeah, of course.
Well, then, be impressed with that. I don't. Although I've met him. Does meeting mean you know someone?
Yeah,
By
I would
what,
count.
adult standards or children's standards?
Okay, if we passed each other on the street,
Yeah.
we'd be we'd say hello.
Hey,
Hey.
gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very close with Russell Peters.
All right, so my name is Sahir Mir.
Where are you from? What borough?
I'm actually from Princeton, New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
I'm not from New York.
right.
And I'm 16 years old. So my question is, what are you gonna do when you're not funny anymore?
No, this is a very good question.
Wait, being funny is not like having an ACL. That's not.
I think
not a-
it goes in waves.
You really think that like you got 12 good years in you, like?
You mean I have? or
Yeah,
have?
yeah. Like it started with the
I
new
don't
kid,
know.
and let's
I
see how
don't-
long
I
like,
don't-
new in town, and you got maybe a
I
decade.
like that
in
you
you.
said new kid,
Yeah,
just
sorry.
pushing them all together.
Yeah, Kid
That's
Gorgeous.
my
sorry.
own fault.
Yeah. New kid gorgeous in town.
New kid gorgeous in town. But don't you think there'll be a dip for like? I'm thinking like 50 to 60, like not funny. 60 getting funny again. 75 to 90, I am going to be so funny. I feel like everything
75 to
about me
90.
is going to click.
Everything will all click in.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
finally make sense.
Got it.
But from 50 to 60, what do comedians do? I'll try. I'll be on like whatever the equivalent of The Good Wife is.
Sure.
And I'll be like,
recurring character.
I'll be like, that's disgraceful,
Right.
And then I'll ride that out, and then I'll be a funny old man in a tuxedo.
Got it.
What would you do if you went bald?
Oh, very slim chance of that.
You know that for sure?
Well, are you supposed to go by your mother's father?
You're supposed to go by your grandfather, yeah.
Yeah.
On your mom's side. Yes.
No one in my family lost their hair.
Okay.
So if I go bald, I did something wrong. What would I do if I lost my hair? Do you mean in terms of coverage, or you're just open-ended?
Just open.
Okay, here's what I would do. I would, in the beginning, go full, not hairpiece, not hair system, full toupee, like full.
Oh no!
And
You
I
don't
would
want the toupee.
see-
No.
I know, but I would see. I'd invite all of yous over to dinner.
Sure.
You, Hannibal B, everyone, and I would see.
Maybe
if,
Dad? Who knows?
If friends. I would like to just show up and see, like, if friends and it'll be like kind of purplish. You know how they can't match brown hair.
Yeah, right,
And
right.
I will just see if my friends say anything, and I'll do that for like a month.
It would be aggressive too. Toupees are so aggressive.
A full toupee in this day and age.
Do you guys know what a toupee is?
Yeah.
Do you, a beard. You know what a toupee is, a beard?
Kinda, yeah.
What do you think it is?
Wait. It's kinda or you do?
Kinda.
Okay. What do you think it is?
Like an old man wig?
Is that?
Yeah. They can sometimes be as simple as like just as simple. It can sometimes be just that. They can sometimes fill in that part. But there are those few who have decided to wear full wigs that cover their entire head in a hairstyle and hair that is not their own. Phil Spector was one of these. He was a music producer, and he did many things, and now he's in prison. But he did a lot before that.
Well, this story is actually, it bridges us to our next game. So, you know, me and the Tupperware teens, we're children of immigrants. We grew up here. Our parents got here around the 80s, 90s. So a lot of our pop culture references start there. So in India, the number of American pop culture references that you know,
Yeah.
like for example, for my father, it's Michael Jackson, Tom Cruise, and I think probably Tom Brokaw when he first got to the States.
Oh,
you know
interesting.
what I mean? There's
Yeah,
only
yeah, yeah.
5
That's
people
just
that you know.
yeah.
So this game is called Why Are People Obsessed with This?
Okay.
Now, the older I've gotten, and the more I've assimilated, I've just started to ask people, what's the deal with this person? And we all kind of have these references, and we want to
Okay.
ask you so you can contextualize that for us. So
Yeah.
let's start this off. Bruce Springsteen.
Okay.
Explain it to me.
Oh,
Like, why?
really?
For real, for real. I went to go see him on Broadway. Jon Stewart, obsessed with Bruce Springsteen. I remember seeing it on Broadway, and I was like, what? There's this guy with the raspy voice. Man, we were just kids trying to get to the city. We looked past that bridge and
That
knew that it was
generation.
a sleepy town
Yeah.
behind us. I go, why is this dude?
Because that generation of baby boomers rebelled against their parents, and they played frisbee, and they thought that ended the Vietnam War, and it didn't. And then their parents passed away, and their brains broke, and they became so nostalgic for this fake nonsense. I like Bruce Springsteen.
Is he a good artist? I don't even.
I think he's a good artist. Yeah, he's got great songs, but his whole thing of like, I got a 52 Chevy, it's like, you never did. I'm all Billy Joel, who's
Okay.
just like, you know, hot dogs are fun, you know.
And he's good.
Billy Joel?
Billy Joel's great? Okay.
Yeah, I'm more, like, if you were to divide them into two camps, I'd be Billy Joel over Bruce Springsteen. So Bruce Springsteen is American men who have never done manual labor in their lives, turning that song on and feeling that they have.
Got it. Okay. A beer,
beer,
why
who
don't
you
you
got?
go? Who do you got?
Okay, I have Goldie Hawn.
Goldie Hawn. Okay. Well, Goldie Hawn came on the scene in a show called Laugh-In, which apparently was funny. And it was in like the late 60s, and she was in like a bikini. And like that was the show. Yeah. And people were like, this is groundbreaking. But it was just, you know, probably misogynistic. And they would have it was like hippies and stuff, and they'd have swirly colors. So again, these baby boomers, they liked her a lot, and then Goldie Hawn.
How do you feel about Goldie Hawn?
I like her
Okay.
because she's always been like, hi, you know, she's always been here.
Yeah.
And that's fun. And she's married to Kurt Russell, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. and
Jenna, you had one though, right?
Jimmy Buffett.
Good, keep it, don't correct there. You need not know. I don't know. I don't know.
Why are people obsessed with Jimmy Buffett?
Don't know. I don't know. He has one song that those of us who know who he is know the song. He has full concerts apparently where other songs are played. I don't understand it. I think it's like for people that like barbecuing. Yeah, you needn't bother investigating.
I have Richard Gere.
Richard Gere?
Gere.
I don't know. Like I was kind of young for that. He was in a movie called American Gigolo, and I think he was the first. He would like squint, and people liked that.
Like for me, like it was Pretty Woman. I remember being a kid, and they're like, "This is Richard Gere," and I go,
Yeah.
okay."
Yeah. But I didn't. I remember that too, and I was like, okay, you know. They're like Julia Roberts, and I was like, I don't know who that is. And they were like, and Richard Gere, and I was like, again, I don't. I guess by Hollywood standards, he was offbeat looking, which means he was incredibly handsome.
Gotcha. Teji, why don't you go?
I have Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks. Oh, well,
And this is a big deal.
This is a big deal.
Well,
I asked Stevie Nicks to be in my children's special, and she said no. And she was unavailable, but also it was passed along to me that she didn't like the material. And I said, oh, that's okay. You know, unavailable was fine. Stevie Nicks is like if your mom picked you up in the car and was like, ugh, another day. And then she'd turn on Stevie Nicks. She would then be transported to a magical world where she was a sorceress of sorts. And so to a lot of our mothers, roughly, and a little younger than me, mother's generation, this was like, they'd put on a song called Belladonna, and they would go to another place. And that's why she matters.
Sahir, why don't you go?
Yeah, I don't understand Barbara Streisand.
You don't understand Barbara Streisand. Why did that provoke such a response?
This is why we can't be open about it.
I can't.
People are like, oh,
I can't
Barbra
imagine
Streisand.
a less,
yeah.
not less sympathetic person, but I can't imagine a person who would elicit fewer awes than Barbara Streisand.
Yeah.
Oh, Barbara Streisand. Yeah. Okay.
Who is she? Why are people obsessed with it? And why is us not knowing about it a problem?
So, tons of people were Jewish, but. No one had ever been like, I'm the star, you know? And people were like, okay. And she was a good singer, really young, I believe. And she was 40 when she was 18. Is that fair? I think that's fair. And then she was like an icon. I don't think there was ever a time where she wasn't an icon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's been beloved since.
I think when she was
2018.
she was in Funny Freckles or something. I don't even know.
Yeah.
And she was people were like, that's a star. And she wasn't even. You know what they did to her is they pulled her out of her own generation too. So they're like, you're for old people and for people your age. And so she's just been pulled back and forth. And she has a shopping mall in her basement. That's not a lie. She has a mall, but that is free to her. But she goes into the shops. She lives in Malibu.
That is a strange fact. John, do you have any questions for them?
What advice do you have for a 37-year-old?
Try not to act too young, because it's just weird. No offense, no offense. No offense.
We should maybe take the jacket off.
There's no way we're going to top that.
Yeah.
The Tupperware teens, everybody.
Thank you, Tupperware teens.
You got that back there. Thank you. One more time for Mr. John Mulaney. John Mulaney, the Sack Lunch Bunch. Comes out December 24th, only on Netflix.
Thank you.
Really, that was so.
I'm gonna go call my dad.
Really?
Yeah.